Color. So nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you, Laura.
Well, I'm going to start with great job. This show is amazing. And I wanted to know, though, like when working on a series that is Marvel, but also contains sitcom elements to follow, what's the process of writing that into a script that intertwines the two? Does it begin by writing the sitcom and then adding the Marvel elements, or the other way around?
Thank you. It's a very good question. Well, the sort of larger story of what WandaVision is was the first thing that we broke and needed to figure out. So the sitcoms kind of came later, not much later. Once we had a sense of where we were going, and we definitely knew, where we were landing, then it was sort of retrofitting the sitcoms to fit that.
Okay, well, I'd love to know whether or not the idea that weekly releases kind of influence what information to reveal, and when does the story? Do you believe the story benefits from once a week release or the binge model?
We didn't know for a long time how the show would be released. I mean, I think it was my hope that it would be weekly because we put so much effort into each episode, really having like cliffhangers and our focus was so much doling out the mystery and kind of like trying to create that tension and that intrigue. But I mean, I think we were still in production, I think, before we knew that would be the choice. And I'm thrilled with it. I think it's absolutely suited to that. I know that fans and my family members get really frustrated because they want more and they feel the episodes are short. And I really do understand all of that. But I think that the experience would be lessened if we could gobble it up in one gulp. I think that the moments so far, especially in episodes 1 through 3, the big moments, in terms of like in comparison to the scale of the MCU, are very, very small. And so if it was all available to consume all at once, I just don't think they would land with the same punch.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I love that the show wraps around the mystery that we're all wondering what's going on with Wanda. But we learn from the blip that the time passed between the blip and when they come back, there's no time that has passed. So that means the loss of Vision is so fresh for Wanda after the battle with Thanos. So from what we see, it's just Wanda going through grief. And I was wondering how grief was created in framing the storyline.
Well, so I mean, from the very beginning with breaking the story, it was about, trying to get a more complete portrayal of Wanda. And of course, her various losses in her life and her various trauma is a part of that. But beyond that, it was so much about what does Wanda's joy look like, and what does Wanda's laughter and comfort, and what does Wanda look like when she's relaxed. So her grief and her loss and those things that we do know about is one piece of a larger puzzle.
Okay. Well, I know that Kevin Feige has everything planned out for his story characters and storylines to proceed with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, of course. But when you were given the project, I know it had to end up one way for the characters. But during the process, was there any moments that impacted the characters and the storylines where Kevin was like, okay, we could have this a little bit changed up a little bit? And did he give you a lot of free reign for the characters and the storylines? And does it give you room for a second season post Phase 4?
Well, there was a lot of free reign in terms of the sitcom pieces because they were sitcoms. So it felt like we had, a lot of freedom inside that space. And my initial, notion for the story based on Kevin's original idea, had like a very clear arc to it. So there were certainly, there was an immense amount of guidance from Kevin and from the other producers at Marvel. And it all, he's always keeping his eye on all the different projects and how they feed into each other.
Well, has this been established as a one-off story, or do they see it continuing, but not like just more of this guidelines?
Yeah, everyone will have to wait and see to answer that question.
Okay. Well, with the arrival of Jimmy Woo and Dr. Darcy Lewis, there's so much warmth and loud reception for these characters who are fan favorites for their humor and intellect. How much fun was working on these characters and just kind of giving them more character development than the films have? Like, what was it like writing them out, and also any chance for a spinoff because of how much people love them?
I know it's been one episode and people are asking for a spinoff, which I totally love and would totally watch. It was an absolute delight to be able to inherit these characters, first of all, and then to expand upon them. I mean, I think it speaks to both the filmmakers of their previous projects and their abilities as performers that they were able to leave such an impression with, so what ultimately amounts to, not a huge amount of screen time. So yeah, it was really special to be able to add, more depth and more detail to these characters and to see them leading the charge, which we haven't seen before for either one of them. So that really was just a treat. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were hilarious, and it was so great to see them. And also see Randall Park's character Jimmy Woo having the message board that has all the theories on the wall, which kind of looks like our message board right now. And so there's
just learned that so many like that. I just learned that people use whiteboards to like break down the episodes. That's so great.
Yeah, if you saw my colleagues, his is all like decked out. So we have tons of theories going around, and so many people have theories. And I know you can't tell us if what's correct and what's not, obviously, but have you guys like heard, read, seen all the theories that are being thrown around? And does your writer's room just chat and laugh about it? Like sometimes going like, wow, that's pretty good, or whoa, that's just crazy.
Yes, we talk about all of them. And I don't think they would mind that I'm throwing them under the bus as like that they're, yeah. And we send things to each other and there's a lot of, we have a whole writer's room conversation about it. It's mostly us appreciating the fans. It's not really like they're so crazy. It's like they are so smart, and we are so lucky that they are analyzing everything that we've done and picking up the breadcrumbs, and we feel very loved and very seen by the fans, for sure.
Okay, and is there any moment this one from the episodes you've seen, or even later on, that you were like, wow, this is huge in the MCU. This is going to make a huge, like a moment that kind of hits you, that you saw, you're like, oh my God.
In our show?
Yeah, on your show.
I mean, well, I guess what I can answer is like, there are moments that that have, it seemed, but if social media is any indication, that have landed with the fans even more dramatically than I expected. Chief among them being the Vision's head caved in. Yeah. There was a lot of thought given to that moment, and there were a lot of reasons for it. And then it was on the page, obviously, and but then the how it was shot and how it was edited, and primarily the phenomenal visual effects work that our supervisor Tara DeMarco made happen. That all came together in a way that I was amazed by, but I still didn't anticipate that it would freak everybody out in all these ways, like full spectrum of human emotion. It seems that one moment, and it was our hope that it would like really, really jar people. And that it would be that they would feel what Wanda feels, right? Like that's the whole goal, is to just get inside her experience. So yeah, I mean that fan reaction has been one of the most exciting and kind of validating. Pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.